Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Anur Kambatar. And for top stories, Mongolia to increase coal export to China. Mongolia and China to strengthen cooperation in socio-economic development. Mongolian President Khurelsukh on a state visit to Japan. And for the news, stay tuned. President of Mongolia Khurelsukh paid a state visit to the People's Republic of China on November 27th and 28th. Following a welcome ceremony hosted at the Great Hall of the People, the heads of the state of the two countries held official talks.
Underlining that the Mongolia-China strategic partnership is being successfully developed, the heads of state of the two countries agreed to continue building mutual trust, understanding, and bilateral relations and cooperation in all spheres. The Mongolian president expressed his willingness to enhance bilateral relations and cooperation with its southern neighbor at a time when the world is facing the challenges of international tensions and a global pandemic. President Xi said that China is willing to work with Mongolia to respect each other's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, respect each other's development path, and support each other on issues concerning core interests and major concerns. During the official talks, the heads of state assessed the current state of Mongolia-China relations and cooperation and determined future directions for cooperation. They exchanged views on maintaining the frequency of high-level reciprocal visits and raising trade turnover to $20 billion over the next 5 years. An important part of the discussion was increasing the export of mineral products, the long-term sustainability of exporting coal from Mongolia to China, expanding cooperation in oil, and accelerating the realization of joint projects funded by Chinese grants and soft loans. President Khurelsukh proposed increasing the amount of exported coal to 40 to 70 million tons per year. The highest amount of coal exported was recorded in 2019 at around 31 million tons. President Xi said that China appreciates Mongolia's campaign to plant at least 1 billion trees by 2030 to combat desertification, adding that China is glad to discuss the establishment of a cooperation center on desertification control. To intensify the operations of the two countries' border checkpoints, the sides discussed enhancing the construction of the Khurelsukh Railroad, connecting the Hengmandal border checkpoint to railway lines, upgrading the Zameo-Derlian border checkpoint's infrastructure, and introducing advanced technology to strengthen border checkpoint capacity. President Khurelsukh reiterated that Mongolia attaches great importance to the development of Mongolia-China-Russia trilateral cooperation and exchanged views with President Xi on accelerating the implementation of the Economic Corridor Program. The presidents also discussed the issues of mutual interest concerning international relations.
On Monday, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and top legislator Li Jianshu paid a courtesy call to the President of Mongolia Khurelsukh. The President of Mongolia underscored that relations and cooperation between the highest legislative bodies of the two countries play a significant role in the development of the Mongolia-China strategic partnership. He expressed confidence that the sides will continue to actively work together to consolidate the legal framework and for bilateral relations and cooperation.
Li Jianshu, chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, said that under the strategic guidance of the two heads of state, China and Mongolia relations will achieve progress in the new year, as the two countries are close neighbors and important partners. Li said China is willing to work with Mongolia to firmly support each other on issues concerning their core interests and major concerns, enhance the synergy of development strategies, and boost policy communication and coordination. Mentioning that China-Mongolia cooperation is conducive to regional stability and development and injects positive energy into world peace, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang said that China is willing to work with Mongolia to bring trade and investment cooperation to a higher level and strengthen cooperation in infrastructure construction, desertification prevention and control, and energy sector development. President Khurelsukh extended congratulations on the success of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. He said that Mongolia values its long-term friendship with China and will continue strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries.
President of Mongolia Khurelsukh state visit to Japan during the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries started on Tuesday. Upon his arrival in Tokyo, the President and First Lady were welcomed by Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs Khurelsukh and Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Mongolia to Japan Bachar. President Khurelsukh will pay a courtesy call to His Imperial Majesty Emperor Naruhito and hold official talks with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Meetings are also scheduled with Hosoda Hiroyuki, Speaker of the House of Representatives of Japan, and other government officials. This is the first visit to Japan by a Mongolian president in the last 12 years. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. The Ministry of Education and Science and the Ulaanbaatar Department of Education have called for celebrating National Pride Day until the end of December. As part of these celebrations, the IMA Mongolian educational competition was organized in Washington, D.C.
40 middle school and high school students participated in the competition in 8 teams. Some of the participants moved to the U.S. at an early age, while the rest were born there. Children and youth living abroad have one big issue related to the knowledge of the Mongolian language. Some of them have poor knowledge of our traditions. These issues might cause some communication challenges for parents and children, and between different generations. On the occasion of Republic Day, we decided to organize this Mongolian language competition to raise children's awareness and knowledge about Mongolia, its traditions, and its language.
This is a very common issue observed among our expatriates, so the Embassy of Mongolia, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the President's Office are greatly important for addressing this issue. We propose that non-governmental organizations operating here in the US join forces and organize similar events more often. I hope similar events can be organized in other states and other countries as well. I have a lot of foreign friends. I really like when people ask me about my country. Taking part in this competition helped me learn about my native land.
I learned a lot about our traditions and Mongolia's ethnic groups. This competition allowed me to expand my horizons. Parents living abroad have difficulty integrating their children into Mongolian culture. But taking part in this competition really helped our children learn about Mongolian heritage, culture, and traditions. I was so proud of our children. The competition had 4 main categories, including a quiz, a poster contest, a team competition, and a competition for team leaders. The organizers also held online workshops and seminars for children before the competition. The IMA Mongolian event was organized with support from the Embassy of Mongolia in the US, the Association of Mongolians residing in the USA, the Center for Family and Youth Development, and local Mongolian schools.
Here's the international news from our partner agencies. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday that 30 settlements in the Kherson region have been shelled by Russia 250 times in the past week alone. Zelensky also said in his address that the Russian army damaged the pumping station that supplied water to Mykolaiv, adding that this is the true essence of those accidental comrades who took over Russia.
Ukraine will never be a place for destruction. Ukraine will never accept orders from these comrades from Moscow "We will do everything to restore every object, every house, every enterprise destroyed by the occupiers," were the words of the Ukrainian president. For weeks, Russia has also been pounding energy facilities around Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities with missile strikes, usually on Mondays at the work week's beginning, resulting in outages of power and water supplies. With temperatures hovering around freezing and expected to dip as low as minus 11 degrees Celsius. In little more than a week, international help was increasingly focused on items like generators and transformers to make sure blackouts that affect everything from kitchens to operating rooms are as limited and short as possible. The power situation was so dire that Ukraine's energy trader, in normal times an exporter, tested importing electricity from neighboring Romania.
Law enforcement authorities in 6 different countries have joined forces to take down a super cartel of drugs traffickers controlling about 1/3 of the cocaine trade in Europe, the European Union Crime Agency said on Monday.
The agency said police forces involved in Operation Desert Light targeted both a command and control center and the logistical drugs trafficking infrastructure in Europe. Over 30 metric tons of drugs were seized during the investigations run in Spain, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the United Arab Emirates with the support of Europol. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration also played a role in bringing down the organization, which was also involved in money laundering, Europol said. The scale of cocaine importation into Europe under the suspects' control and command was massive, Europol said, adding that the suspects used encrypted communications to organize drug shipments. The Netherlands was the country where most of the arrests were made, with 14 suspects arrested in 2021. Europol said 6 high-value targets were arrested in Dubai. Dutch authorities said one of the suspects arrested in Dubai allegedly imported thousands of kilos of cocaine into the Netherlands in 2020 and 2021. The 37-year-old man with both Dutch and Moroccan nationality is also being prosecuted for laundering large amounts of money and possession of firearms. Police started investigating him after investigators cracked the encrypted messaging service Sky ECC, which is popular with criminals. A 40-year-old Dutch Bosnian citizen was also arrested in Dubai following an investigation based on intercepted Sky messages, according to Dutch police. He is suspected of importing into Europe cocaine and raw materials for the production of amphetamine. Record amounts of cocaine are being seized in Europe. Its availability on the continent has never been higher, with extremely high purity and low prices. More than 214 tons of cocaine were seized in the region in 2020, a 6% increase from the previous year. And experts from the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction believe that amount could reach 300 metric tons in 2022.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The entire board of Italian club Juventus, including President Andrea Agnelli, have resigned. The Serie A club finished 4th in the league last season and made a €254.3 million loss in a record in Italy. Last November, Juventus said they were cooperating with police after an investigation was launched into the club's transfers. The investigation concerned revenues from player registration rights between 2019 and 2021. Agnelli and Vice President Pavel Nedved, who is also stepping down, were among those under investigation. The board have stepped down en masse, having considered the centrality and relevance of pending legal and accounting issues, said a statement. The outgoing board, considered to be in the best social interest, recommended Juventus equip itself with a new board of directors to address these issues, the statement added. Managing Director Maurizio Arrivabene will remain in his role for an interim period while a new board is brought together. Agnelli was one of the chief architects of the breakaway plans to form the European Super League in 2021. Juventus, who are listed on the Italian Stock Exchange, are being investigated for allegations of presenting false accounting information to investors and producing invoices for non-existent transactions. The club has denied any wrongdoing, and other clubs are also the subject of a parallel investigation, which was launched by the Italian Football Federation in October. Shareholders are set to meet again on January 18th to appoint a new board, the club said. Portugal secured their place in the last 16 of the World Cup with victory over Uruguay in a scrappy encounter at Lusail Stadium. A game short on real quality saw the deadlock broken in the 54th minute when a cross from Bruno Fernandes floated beyond Uruguay keeper Sergio Rochet, the goal given to Manchester United's midfield man despite Cristiano Ronaldo claiming it had glanced off his head. Portugal made most of the running until they went ahead, but Uruguay, who must now beat Ghana in their final Group H game to have a chance of qualifying, created chances of their own and could have taken a point. Rodrigo Bentancur's brilliant first half was halted by Portugal keeper Diogo Costa's save, while substitute Maxi Gomez hit the post as Uruguay went in search of an equalizer. Portugal wrapped up the win in stoppage time when Fernandes got a second from deep spot after video assistant referee intervention, which adjudged Jose Gimenez had handled. Fernandes almost got his hat-trick before the final whistle, but saw a lost shot strike to the post. The game was interrupted in the second half by a pitch invader carrying a rainbow flag and wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with the words "Save Ukraine" on the front and "Respect for Iranian women" on the back. Portugal have reached the last 16 with efficiency and will present a formidable obstacle to whoever they come up against because they have strength in all areas. It was unspectacular, but Portugal possesses match winners, Fernandes stepping into the role on this occasion with both goals and the strike against the post that almost gave him a treble. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.